Yankee Stadium transformed and an old football tradition reawakened here. Making the short journey from Jersey, the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, led by the Big East top receiver Mohamed Sanu in perhaps his final college game. They'll battle the giant-killing Cyclones from Iowa State, who've overachieved to get bowl eligible. The team's first ever meeting here. It's Big 12 versus Big East on a balmy day here in the Bronx. ESPN's coverage of Capital One Bowl Week continues with the 2011 New Era Pinstripe Bowl. The 8-4 Rutgers Scarlet Knights against the 6-6 Iowa State Cyclones from the home of the New York Yankees here in the South Bronx. And it's an unseasonably warm New Year's Eve here in New York City. Temperatures in the 50s as a couple of transplanted New Yorkers welcome you. Chris Fowler and Jesse Palmer. Tom Rinaldi will join us from the field here. These teams have never met. We hope the excitement and the suspense of Bowl Week will continue because it's rated a toss-up game, Jesse.
Yeah.
But it was the huge upset pulled by the Cyclones over Oklahoma State that really reshaped the championship chase and got them eligible for this bowl game.
And Iowa State is 6-6 right now, but that record is not indicative of how great of a year it has been for Paul Rhoads and his football team. Here's a team that was only supposed to win 2 games this year. They've easily exceeded those expectations, and the high water mark came with that double overtime victory against then number 2 Oklahoma State. Really captured the attention of the entire country. Paul Rhoads' team is tough. They are physical. This is really their type of game playing Rutgers here today at Yankee Stadium.
Rhoads, an emotional guy. That huge upset engineered by Jared Barnett. Will see the exciting dual threat quarterback. For Rutgers, Chase Dodd, the sophomore just announced, will get the start, but he'll try to get the ball to number 6 Mohamed Sanu frequently.
Mohamed Sanu is the most valuable player for this Rutgers football team. He is the total package at wide receiver with his ability to run routes, strong hands catching the football, ability to run with the football after the catch. You're going to see Rutgers line him up all over the field, try and get him mismatched against smaller, weaker defensive backs. There is no mystery for Iowa State. They know Rutgers is going to try and force-feed Mohamed Sanu the football. Tremendous challenge for this Iowa State defense today. Try and contain Mohamed Sanu.
Saw a shot of Greg Schiano, 11th year coach of Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights in a bowl for the 6th time in 7 years. Missing last year, and the folks from Ames, Iowa have made the long journey. The folks from Jersey about 50 miles away from the birthplace of college football, the Rutgers campus.
A lot
Scarlet
of fun for
Knights.
us, isn't it?
Yes, I enjoy this. This booth is funky. We'll detail how this field is laid out in Yankee Stadium. It was the late George Simon that had the idea to configure this place so you could have football back in the Bronx. It goes back almost 80, 90 years, football in various Yankee stadiums. So Justin Dorner. Kickoff taken by West at the 8-yard line. The tiny but speedy returner bumps into a blocker. Now tries to get the corner. West knocked down at the 30-yard line. And that's where Jared Barnett, the freshman quarterback, takes over.
He's extremely athletic, and he's a guy really that took over the starting quarterback position midway through the year in relief of Steele Jantz against Texas A&M. He's a guy that can run the football. That's going to be critical today. This Rutgers defense loves to bring pressure, so Barnett's going to have to make plays throwing the football, understanding where his answers are against the pressure, but he's got to make plays with his legs as well. Make Rutgers pay for blitzing him.
Barnett 3-2 as a starter, including the big win over the Cowboys and also the win over Texas Tech. This is James White finding a crease up the middle. And White into Rutgers territory as the Cyclones, who become a good running team, but Burnett at quarterback, explode on the first play.
Iowa State's biggest advantage on offense in this game is up front on the offensive line. They dwarf Rutgers' defensive line. Right there you saw a lot of push at the point of attack.
Now they go up-tempo after the 23-yard gain. This is White again, and he bolts for about 8. Schiano says his defense is ready for this. They face a lot of spreads in the Big East, but we'll see.
They call themselves a no-huddle defense because they have to play West Virginia, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati. They're going to get tested today against Iowa State.
This is Barnett keeping the ball. And showing the burst, he slips down after gaining first-down yardage at the 28.
A lot of misdirection with the zone read in this spread offense of Iowa State. Rutgers really struggled with that late in the year against UConn. Quarterbacks running the football. Jared Barnett, only a freshman, he's got the ability to hurt you with his legs.
This is Barnett Takes a shot over the middle. A receiver fell down. There was a collision. No flag. Tried to find Albert Gary. Barnett just a 51% passer.
A guy that really is trying to find his accuracy, trying to find his rhythm. Does not have a lot of velocity on his throws. Something that he's going to have to develop for him as he matures at the quarterback position. But he is the best option they have at quarterback for this style of offense. Makes good decisions, makes quick decisions. He's going to have to make those today against a Rutgers defense that'll mix up their looks.
You expect to also see the junior Steele Jans, who began this season as the Cyclones starter before getting injured, becoming ineffective. On 2nd and 10, they take a shot to the far sidelines and no chance to make a play. Well, the impact players, we'll start with Kelechi Osemele, the big left tackle, and we'll bring in some Broadway show titles. He is the Lion King at 347.
6'6", almost 350 pounds. He will eclipse this defensive line. If he gets his hands on you, the show is over.
Kasim Green, top tackler, Big East Defensive Player of the Year. We'll give him the stomp. And here it comes. Barnett dumps it off and had a man wide open. Josh Lentz had beaten the blitz and would have scored. Ball behind him.
This is part of what makes watching Jared Barnett at times very frustrating, because he makes the unbelievable throws and he misses the easy ones. It's the right read by Jared Barnett, finding the shallow cross, crossing his face against the pressure. He just has to lay that football out in front of him. That might be a touchdown.
Yeah, sometimes the execution of the passing game just not there when you watch the Cyclones on tape. So Zach Geyer will try to get 3 points out of it. Footing can be tricky this end of Yankee Stadium. From 41 yards, he knocks it straight through. Not a particularly fast starting offense, but it was a quick strike drive for the Cyclones. They got it going with the running game. Rutgers will take over down 3-0. And you see Chase Judd, the junior out of Lyman, South Carolina. Greg Schiano keeping secret his plan at quarterback until just before game time, but he decides to go with Dodd over the true freshman Gary Nova, who we also expect to see this afternoon.
Yeah, we're going to see both these quarterbacks in. Chase Dodd getting the start. They feel he's a better game manager, takes better care of the football. He's going to have to be good against this Iowa State defense. They're going to mix up their coverages on that side of the football.
Grant Mahoney to handle kickoff duties, and because Jeremy Deering, the dangerous returner for the Scarlet Knights, is still battling an ankle problem, he's not back there. It's Logan Thomas alongside Jordan Thomas. And good coverage from Iowa State in poor field position for Dodd to begin.
You mentioned it, Chris. We're going to see both quarterbacks for Rutgers in this football game today. Chase Dodd, tremendous competitor, only 6 feet tall, at times struggles to see downfield over a bigger offensive line when he's in the pocket. Going to have to do a good job with his eyes, anticipating throws, trying to find the windows here, particularly when throwing the football over the middle of the field.
Juwan Jamison is the tailback. They fake it to him, and Dodd a first down throw. Flips it underneath. It's caught by the fullback, and Michael Burton shoved out after a short gain. Let's pick up our Broadway show-themed impact players. You like the Broadway?
No, I love them. I know
theater.
You and I, we're both goers.
Somebody's got to be Spider-Man. We'll show you some of the circus catches that he has made. Tremendous hands.
Unbelievable and aptly named. A.J. Klein, Rock of Ages. We got a couple of guys. Co-Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, plays with tremendous instincts. Jake Knott looks like him, runs like him, plays like him, man's the other side at linebacker. It's a great group in the second level at Iowa State.
This is Jamison. And a Rutgers offensive line, Jesse, that's had so much trouble this year opening holes. This is not the Ray Rice era, the banks of the Rare 10.
They've been very inconsistent running the football at Rutgers, and part of the problem, they haven't been able to find the right combination up front on the offensive line. They've made some position switches. Desmond Wynn, normally playing left guard, starting at left tackle today. A freshman, Batim Bujari, going to play left guard, trying to get bigger so they can be more physical against what can be a very stout Iowa State D-line.
They need 4 yards on this third down. Dodd takes a shot downfield, loops it up and over the head of Karan Pratt. who takes a shot in the secondary from Darrell Givens. 3 and out.
It is a very active secondary from Iowa State. When they see the football up in the air, they go and attack. They're not afraid to be physical. You see here on this play, Darrell Givens, once the ball let go, lowers the boom. So there's no opportunity for that catch, and an impressive 3 and out for Iowa State's defense to start this game.
Tough but small. Rutgers Brain Trust believes they can exploit some mismatches with their tall, speedy receivers against the short DBs of the Cyclones, but not in the first series. Aaron Horn is back to receive the punt. Justin Dorner takes it inside his 30. And he can't make the first man miss. So Iowa State back on offense after the 50-yard punt, up 3. Barnett collects the low snap, takes a shot over the middle. This time delivers an accurate strike to Lentz, who collects it in traffic and gets the first down.
When you can run the football effectively in a game early, you can open up big windows, particularly over the middle of the field. You see that play fake just freezes all 3 Rutgers linebackers just for a moment, opens up the window for Barnett.
Back and playing, and White dragged down. You know, Schiano last night, Jesse, had a feeling his defense might not be ready to play their best game. They come off their worst game against Connecticut when the Huskies just worked them over, and they went there with a chance to get a piece of the Big East title and got thumped.
And it's not the type of offense today you want to see, one that can be so multiple like this Iowa State attack.
This is Woody, the rugged 235-pounder who scored that winning touchdown in double overtime against Oklahoma State when they wore down the Pokes defense.
And Chris, interesting strategy from Greg Schiano and this Rutgers defense so far. We know they like to blitz a lot. They normally average 50% pressures on first and second down, not coming after Barnett early in this game.
They're having a hard time getting lined up.
Yeah, they are. That tempo puts so much stress.
One thing to simulate in practice, isn't it a lot different when you actually face an offense that does it every week?
No doubt.
Barnett looks immediately right, but delivers one of those inaccurate passes that have plagued him.
Oftentimes for a freshman quarterback, timing and anticipation are 2 skills throwing the football that need to be developed. And it looks right now like Jared Barnett is pressing just a little bit. He's playing almost too fast. He's got time in the pocket to hitch, allow that football to come out on time. That's another easy completion he's missed.
Barnett just 2 of 5. He needs 6 yards on this 3rd down. James White set to his right. Barnett cannot escape. And Rutgers once again comes up with the big stop. It was Brandon Jones off the corner getting the sack.
Yeah, this time Greg Schiano able to dial up pressure coming from the outside here at the bottom of the screen. And Iowa State does a good job initially picking it up, but you see a much smaller running back, James White, only 180 pounds, not able to be stiff enough at the point of attack. Pocket collapses, and yet they force another field goal.
Yeah, this field goal attempt, apparent field goal attempt to come from 46
right.
yards, so they gained 3 yards. This would still be, again, a long for Geyer, who's made 10 of 13. That's the snap down, the boot away. And Zach Geyer is 2 for 2. 2 promising drives for the Cyclones fizzle, but they end up with another field goal. Just a gorgeous day for December 30th. There have been a lot of postseason baseball games over the years played in a lot tougher conditions than this football game.
We're in mid-October right now. This is unbelievable.
Mahoney to kick it away. Cyclones had excellent coverage on the first kickoff. This is Jordan Thomas. And once again, fighting to get near the 20-yard line as we throw it down to Tom Rinaldi on the field. Tom?
Chris, thanks very much. On the field being the operative phrase because of the concern regarding how this field would hold up. You recall 7 weeks ago, Rutgers took on Army here, and the conditions were far from ideal. As you take a look, a lot of turf has already come up. The players tried to plant and pivot. From the 50 to the 20 has been the majority of the time where the field has really been chewed up, and that's where Iowa State's been working. We'll have to really take a look at how this holds up as the game continues, Chris.
Good point, Tom, especially where the Scarlet Knights are now operating on offense. They're trying to move out of the infield area, which was dirt when they played the first time, but they've tried to improve it. I think it is better than the October game.
I do too, and they made the conscious effort, you're right, to bring in a thicker, heavier grass coming in from Long Island. They put it on the base paths around the mound, the pitching mound, and the circle by the plate. But you know, we walked on it before the game. You and I both thought it looked pretty good.
This is Jamison again. He's got the corner. Juwan Jamison motoring for a first down. Tries to cut back, reverses field, and he's finally whacked by A.J. Klein. Pair of great linebackers we talked about. Klein and Knott, two small-town Midwestern guys enjoying their first visit to the city this week. Well,
you know, another issue that Rutgers has had running the football this year has been very young running backs. And Juwan Jamison, only a freshman, he needs cumulative reps. He needs to get better with his steps and his footwork right there, timing it out perfectly with the blocking scheme up front, pulling linemen, able to set the edge because he has that speed. Good news being able to run the football early.
Got straight back on first down, fires complete. And this is Timothy Wright into Iowa State territory. So Cignetti dials up a first down throw, and they beat the 5'7" corner, Jeremy Reeves.
It's so important for a quarterback to be able to move in the pocket. Doesn't have to be anything drastic. You see Dodd here just slide to his left in the hitch and able to still throw on rhythm. That's coaching from Frank Cignetti. You talked about him earlier. 3 years having coached in the National Football League. He's a great quarterback mind, and that coaching here rubbing off on his young quarterback, Chase Dodd.
25-yard gain moves the ball into Iowa State territory. Another first down throw. He's got time, looping the ball into double coverage, looking for Brandon Coleman. Incomplete on the jump ball. Little greedy there.
Trying to take advantage of a young freshman receiver in Brandon Coleman, who's 6'6". And I think the idea here is jump ball, let our guy go get it or nobody gets it. And there, Coleman doing a nice job becoming the defender here, making sure this football not caught.
Leonard Johnson, number 23, is 5'10", plays bigger than that, very good athlete. He's the corner that was placed opposite Justin Blackman and did a pretty good job shutting down the two-time Biletnikoff Award winner that night. Empty backfield, 5 receivers on 2nd and 10. Sanu has room. Tries to get the corner, lowers his shoulder, loses the football. Looks like the Scarlet Knights have gotten it back. A lucky break there as the ball came loose. It was knocked out there by Jake Knott.
Mohamed Sanu has to be careful with ball security, and certainly being a physical wide receiver is one of his assets. Yards after the catch, his ability to get physical in the second level of the defense. Right here, the ball separated here from his body. 3 points of pressure is what coaches will teach their players and preach to them, keeping it high and tight. Rutgers gets away with one there.
The first down throw. Dodd has time over the middle. Finds Sanu again. Stiff arm. Fights down to the 15.
Because Rutgers has had success running the football early, Frank Cignetti now able to call pass plays off of play action on first down. And Chase Dodd doing a nice job identifying where his open target is and getting the football out in rhythm and on time.
Final 30 seconds of the first quarter. As the Scarlet Knights work toward the center field end of the football field. Dodd's found a rhythm. I think they're going to have a lot more success throwing than running this afternoon. That's been the case really all season long. Jamison motions out, empty backfield, and it's Dodd on the rollout, flips it short, and the fullback, Burton, is cut down. And that will be the final play of the first quarter. 2 drives with the Cyclones. They built a 6-point lead. Schiano sprints down for quarter 2 as the Knights are threatening. Greg Schiano's defense surrendering 2 field goals, making some big plays. When the Cyclones had penetrated inside their 30, now Rutgers with their promising drive as we begin the second quarter. They're in the red zone.
This is an area, Chris, where their offense has to prove its physicality. Generally, the best red zone offenses in college football are the ones that can run the football down in this area of the field. The passing windows, the passing lanes become constricted. We talked about that new combination up front on the offensive line for Rutgers. If they are going to maximize these possessions, turn them into touchdowns rather than field goals at some point, Chris, they have to be able to run the ball down here.
fade route, end zone, battling for it, and that's a 6'6" receiver against 5'10" corner.
It's the right idea by Chase Dodd. It's the wrong type of throw. You have to give your wide receiver a chance to make this catch. And throwing fade balls, you got to put it up at least over top of him or to his outside. This throw far too much inside. The 8-inch height advantage becomes nullified because of a poor throw.
Now it's third down. See the lack of a Ray Rice back in a power running game definitely affecting the play calling for Cignetti. Empty backfield again. Dodd hesitates, dives near the goal line, takes a shot, doesn't get in. He was being chased from behind, and then he got met at the 1-yard line by Jake Nutt and Shaquez Washington. What do you do here on fourth down?
I think personally, I think you go for it, kind of send the message to your team. It looks like they're going to do that. Paul Rhodes take a gamble early. Greg Schiano doing that as well. Interesting here with the footing, this risk.
10th play of this drive. They got the fullback Burton in. Jamison is the tailback, and he's got it. And he will have to fight, but he scores. Penetration by the Cyclones. But Schiano's gamble pays off as Jamison kind of squirms sideways and gets in.
Frank Cignetti dials up an attitude run. This is a power play. They pull the backside guard to get a bigger body at the point of attack. Still, Iowa State was able to find penetration into the backfield from A.J. Klein, co-defensive player of the year in the Big 12 Conference. Tremendously strong running by Jawan Jamison.
And the freshman from Stark, Florida, scores his 8th touchdown of the season. Sansanti gives Rutgers its first lead.
You know, these bowl practices, getting these 15 extra days, it's so beneficial for so many young players throughout the country. And Jawan Jamison, a guy that's going to be relied on heavily next season and for years to come in this Rutgers offense, having a tremendous start to this football game.
It's a 74-yard 10-play drive covering 4 minutes 23 seconds. Began with a bunch of first down throws by Dodd. Finishes off with a 4th down touchdown run by Jamison. Short boot by Dorner is taken by Aaron Horn. The Cyclones will start across their 30-yard line. So the Cyclones behind for the first time this afternoon. Scarlet Knights showing pressure, lots of pre-snap movement. And the read is to hand off to White, who plows forward for 4 before Bohornes knocks him down.
Iowa State right now content on offense, trying to get back to running the football. And as you see, picking up the tempo again, going back to that super tempo, put stress on Rutgers.
Sometimes they'll do this, look to the sidelines, change the signal, which gives Rutgers a chance to get organized on defense.
Trying to get Rutgers to show their hand so they have the best play call possible.
It's another run and a tackle for loss in the backfield here by Kevin Snyder, the freshman linebacker who fills in for Jamal Morrell.
Great play call by Greg Schiano on defense here, bringing pressure off the edge this time. It's the true freshman Kevin Snyder here at outside linebacker. Just going to come in, read the zone read, attack, make a tackle, and even if Jared Barnett pulls that, there's another defender outside, Logan Ryan, able to make that play. Good defense versus the zone read.
He's got 3 receivers bunched to the left on 3rd and 12 now, and he's sacked. Ball loose, a scramble for it, picked up. Scott Valone dragged down at the 5-yard line, and Barnett is slow to get up after the sack. First turnover of the game.
You see Greg Schiano fired up, and he should be on 3rd downs in this game. Greg Schiano has decided to force Jared Barnett's hand with pressure, bringing extra players from the 2nd level of the defense, forcing Jared Barnett to tuck the football, doing a poor job with ball security. As a quarterback, you have to understand when a play is dead. Right now, tuck the football away. It's ripped out.
Kasim Green, the co-defensive player of the year in the Big East, got him low, knocked it loose. You can see that Barnett's legs get twisted around, and then Valone, who limped off the field, thought he was going to score, got dragged down at the 5. And meanwhile, Dodd, with Jamison behind him, as a 1st and goal. Play action. Looking for the corner of the end zone. He threw it right into traffic. Carazola, the tight end, was well covered.
Greg Signetti opting for a pass off of play action, going for a quick strike after the turnover. I think the throw here is to the fullback here in the flats.
Yeah, Burton was open.
Michael Burton.
He chose the tougher option.
It may have been a contested throw, but dangerous. Do not want to force the football. Again, it's great to have confidence in your arm and your wide receivers, but a couple times now we've seen Dodd force throws into triple coverage.
And it's tough as a play caller when you don't have that much confidence in your running game. On second down, Dodd looping it high for the end zone, but it's over the head of Sanu.
A lot of creative play calling right now from Frank Signetti. This is the same concept as a fade throw, this time just working it inside the slot to Mohamed Sanu. He's open, had his defender beat, just needed a better throw. This would be very disappointing for Rutgers if they're not able to capitalize on this turnover and come away with 7 points.
So it's a different kind of a Rutgers team. In years past, with the spread, it might have been Sanu and the Wildcat trying to run it in.
I think spreading the field right now is the key right now, and Sanu in the slot here at the bottom of the screen.
Martinek, the lone tailback, but it's Dodd straight back. Again, fires over the head and just kind of chucks it away, and they'll take 3 points. That's a disappointment.
That is, especially coming out, throwing the football 3 times. Chris, they've had some success at the point of attack, running the football, being dominant. Yeah, I do. I think coming out early, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to run the football on 1st and 2nd down. You've just run it in for a touchdown here down on 4th down on the previous possession, but 2 incomplete passes, then a throwaway, come away with only 3 points is disappointing.
T missed from 47, this from 21. The end of the field, it caused him problems in the first game here at Yankee Stadium against Army. Poor footing led to a missed field goal and a missed PAT. Footing better this afternoon, as Tom Rinaldi mentioned, and that one straight through. So Rutgers gets just 3 after getting the ball 1st and goal following the fumble. That was football back then, Jesse Palmer. New Yorkers of a certain age might remember the history of NFL games here at Yankee Stadium.
Chuck Bednarik, Y.A. Tittle. Some big-time pictures there.
Talk about a muddy field. These guys walked off there covered with soil.
This footing is immaculate compared to what some of these guys played on back in the day, no doubt. Playing on the New York Giants, I'd always kind of secretly wanted to play a game at Yankee Stadium with the Polo Grounds. Seen all these great pictures from back in the day. The Meadowlands is beautiful and it's great. The new stadium's gorgeous, but this is such a great environment playing football games here at Yankee Stadium.
Only seats about 46,000 for football, so I doubt they're going to give up the cash and move across the river to this side. Jarvis West has the corner. Jarvis West cuts it inside, and the speedster, 1 man to beat. A flag is down upfield as West scores, a marker way back at the 35-yard line. 93 yards for Jarvis West. We'll see if it stands. He's still celebrating down to the outfield end zone.
Return holding, 21.
It's coming back.
10-yard penalty, 1st down.
The Rutgers player is down as Rhodes' kickoff return is erased. Marcus Cooper is the injured Rutgers player. A hold is what they call it, Jesse. You'll see in the left side of the frame here.
You're going to see it here, right there, number 24. It's basically 25, it looks like. Just basically tackles, or almost tries to tackle the Rutgers player covering the kick and negates the run back for a touchdown. Tremendous recoveries. We see Steele Jantz now under center for Iowa State.
He's the junior who began the year as the starter. He's the more effective thrower of the 2 quarterbacks, not the running threat that Barnett is. And rolling out immediately on cue is Steele Jantz taking off. He says, take that.
Doesn't necessarily have the same wheels, but he understands the philosophies and the principles and not afraid to call zone read with Jantz in the game. I think one reason he lost his starting job was because of decision making. Threw 9 interceptions over the first 6 games of the season. That was most in the Big 12. Paved the way for Jared Barnett. Making a good decision there, deciding to pull the football in the zone read.
Jantz keeping it again. He wants to flash his running ability, and he's in the clear. Doesn't have breakaway speed, but he's dragged down by Kasim Green after a long run. Maybe they took their eye off the quarterback as a running threat when Jantz came in, and they're paying the price.
And he's reading the defensive end to see whether or not he crashes to the ball carrier. Both times that's happened these last 2 plays. Smart decisions by Jantz. 225-pound quarterback showing you the wheels. Does not look like a young Jesse Palmer. I can tell you that. That's way better.
Like an old Jesse Palmer?
Yeah, older. Looks a lot better. My point is, much better runner than I was or ever will be.
It's a first down throw for Jantz. Almost intercepted. Green got a hand up and knocked it down. Well, Jantz was a guy who engineered the dramatic comeback over Iowa. They had to come back to beat Northern Iowa. They came back to beat UConn on the road. And Steele Jantz was one of the stories of September. But then he got injured, became less effective, and really got pulled against Texas A&M. That's when Barnett emerged and provided the spark.
It really changed the complexion for the entire season. This team played differently when Jared Barnett took over against Texas A&M.
But Jantz has prepared well, and Paul Roach told me he's earned this spot. At least to get a few series. This time he's dragged down for a loss as Logan Ryan is having a terrific first half, penetrated.
It's been really key for Rutgers today to win on first down. And by doing that, setting up second and long, making Iowa State more predictable. And second and third down have been the downs today that Greg Schiano's decided to dial up the pressure, move around, and get after these quarterbacks. Remember, they forced the fumble on the last possession on third down. Let's see if he brings pressure here. He's showing it now.
Showing it up the middle.
Ooh, they go to a bear look now. Center and guards, both all covered.
3rd and 15. The high delivery and a nice catch by Darius Reynolds, but he's far short of the first down. Jantz had to get it out quickly. Zach Geyer was good earlier, Jesse, from 45, which is a career long. This, if they kick it, will be about a 51-yard attempt. Rutgers very good at blocking field goals. Coming straight through the middle. They successfully completed a fake from long distance earlier this afternoon. High snap, and the timing was off from the start as Geyer hooks it.
Greg Schiano fired up with good reason. That's a win for this Rutgers defense after giving up 2 long runs to Steele Jantz, able to bow up yet again when Iowa State able to get into the fringe territory near the 30-yard line. And you're right, Chris, bad snap, high, and the holder was not allowed to, couldn't able to get the laces outside. It all results in a missed kick.
Bucher did a nice job getting the ball down, but you could just tell that the timing wasn't right.
The true freshman Gary Nova has now checked in a quarterback.
And handed off on the end around. It's a first down carry. And Nova, we thought we'd see him. He played about half the year. He's actually been the slightly more productive of the 2 quarterbacks, but just a little more mistake prone.
I think he has the more upside when it comes to all the physical traits when you look at size, arm strength, accuracy, all of those things. But because he's a true freshman, oftentimes this year, Chris, he's just tried too hard. Tried to make every single play, forces a lot of throws. He's been a bit more turnover prone, but this is a guy this coaching staff very excited about for the future.
Don Bosco Prep is a high school power in the state of New Jersey. He barely lost a game in his high school career. There's a flip over the middle and a completion to the tight end DC Jefferson, who has a first down after an 11-yard pickup. So the first clutch throw for the young guy.
One of the most impressive things about Gary Nova is his ability to focus downfield regardless of what's happening around him. And Iowa State bringing pressure, there's bodies around him, gets through to his second progression, the tight end DC Jefferson. DC Jefferson, by the way, big-time high school quarterback, committed to LSU before coming here to Rutgers to play tight end.
And handed off to Jamison. He takes a shot and still drives forward for about 9. Yeah, Jefferson is 6'6", 258. Good blocker. That's a long journey from one-time LSU quarterback recruit, the tight end, and the banks of the Raritan.
Just looks like Zach Mettenberger when you consider the size comparison right now between these two. But this Jefferson, a guy that this coaching staff feels like can one day play on Sundays at the tight end position. This is obviously a new thing to him, learning how to block, getting a 3-point stance. But on that previous catch, you see the raw athletic ability.
Off the fullback, Burton, who breaks a tackle, goes to the secondary. Michael Burton still running. Dives down inside the 25 before Shaquez Washington combined with Reeves.
You very rarely see fullbacks get carries in football games anymore. In fact, Tom O'Brien, the head coach of NC State, has never allowed his fullback to carry the football throughout his entire collegiate career. Right here, Michael Burton showing you some of the wiggle. This is the guy that played tailback in high school, has the ability to make plays in the open field, and it's those quick-hitting plays that allow these guys to get into the second level.
He only had 7 carries all season.
What's all this space?
23-yard gain for the fullback. Jamison. Not much there. A.J. Klein and a bunch of red shirts swarming him.
You know, these are two different looking defenses from a schematic standpoint. Paul Rhodes and Iowa State, Wally Burnham, their defensive coordinator, they play to their strengths and their personnel. They are not a pressure defense. They want to sit back, mix up all their coverages, allow linebackers like A.J. Klein and Jake Knott flow to the football. They just don't have the personnel on the defensive side of the ball right now to be very active and blitz a lot. That's not their identity. That wasn't the same case when Paul Rhodes was the D coordinator at Pittsburgh for 8 years. He was a blitzing maniac. Right, he was bringing guys from all over the joint. Not the case this year for Iowa State.
And Burnham has not been traditionally a blitz-heavy guy as a defensive coordinator. Jamison right through the secondary. Center steps into the end zone. Caleb Ruck, the center, with a nice block, and Shiano's team builds its lead as halftime approaches.
Tremendous push. Explosion off the line of scrimmage again. This is a power attitude play downhill. Tight ends, fullbacks, pushing Iowa State defenders backwards into the second level. That's impressive.
Second touchdown for Jamison, who's gained 61 yards here in the first half. Team makes it an 11-point lead. So the guys from across the Hudson River erase an early 6-0 hole, scores 17 straight points and lead at halftime of the New Era Pinstripe Bowl. Tom Rinaldi working his way towards Paul Rhodes. Trying to get a word with the Cyclones coach, and he's got him. Tom?
Thanks very much, Chris. Well, jump out to a 6-0 lead. Rutgers scores 17 unanswered. How do you flip that momentum around?
Got to finish drives. Got to finish drives as an offensive football team. We've converted 1 third down, I believe, in 30 minutes of football. We stalled out twice. It's good to get 6 points, but you got to get touchdowns in this game.
How would you assess your team's play on the line of scrimmage in stopping their rushing offense?
Well, I think in the second quarter they took over physically with their offensive style of play, and they were banging off too big a chunks of yards in that quarter.
Appreciate it, Paul.
Thank you.
Chris?
Coach is right. Just 1 for 8 on third down. We'll see if it's going to be Jans or Barnett in the second half. In the meantime, back to Reese Davis in the studio. Reese? And welcome back to ESPN's coverage of Capital One Bowl week, set for the second half of the New Era Pinstripe Bowl. Iowa State jumped out to a 6-0 lead. Jesse, Rutgers 17 unanswered points, and they'll get the ball to start the third quarter. But we've seen plenty of resilience this season from the Cyclones.
You know, we heard Iowa State head coach Paul Rhodes tell Tom Rinaldi right before the end of that half, they got to find a way to stay on the field offensively. And I think it's imperative right now for Iowa State to get back to running the football early in possessions. We saw early in this football game their ability, having success with the zone read, giving it to running backs, allowing Steele Jantz to get outside the pocket on the poles, and that allowed them to set up second and third manageable situations. Where they got in trouble in this first half was on 3rd and long. When they were too predictable, Greg Schiano able to dial up too much pressure. It's led to 2 sacks, one of those being a critical play where Jared Barnett fumbled and gave Rutgers possession inside the 5-yard line. The offense has to get back to establishing the run, being physical at the line of scrimmage.
Mahoney kicks it away. And this is Jordan Thomas. Knocked down hard at the 25-yard line. So we've seen 4 quarterbacks used, and each staff faces a decision. Who do you go with in the second half? It was Nova showing some promise, the young guy coming on late in the first half.
True freshman.
Back with Dye.
Yeah, true freshman Gary Nova going to get the start here in the second half. He had a really good rhythm and a flow to this offense there at the end of that first half. He was helped out a lot by their ability to run the football. Didn't take a lot of big chances with him throwing the football, but we are going to see Chase Dodd again here in the second half. You can rest assured.
On the reverse and being knocked down by a blocker was Miles Schuler. The speedster came around the edge, but penetration by the Cyclones knocked the blocker back into his path.
Rutgers trying to get the edge here on the play, and it looked like this wide receiver might get outside at the very last second. It's the fullback, Michael Burton, who gets his legs tangled up, and as a result, it's a 4-yard loss. Not the way you want to start here in the second half. Now setting up a passing situation for Rutgers early.
Burton showing that at 232, he's a good blocker and not a bad tackler.
A good tackler as well.
Right motions into the slot, but it's a late handoff to Jamison. It was an effective runner in the first half. Had a couple of touchdowns. Stopped by Klein after just a couple here.
It's going to be so critical for Iowa State defensively to get back to winning on first and second down like this. Trying to make plays, tackles close to the line of scrimmage, and make Rutgers one-dimensional. Make the young quarterbacks, be that Gary Nova, be that Chase Dodd, have to throw the football to stay on the field. Remember, it's an Iowa State defense that likes to mix up its coverages. See if they can confuse Gary Nova now here before his pre-snap, move some guys around.
5,000 Cyclone fans have made the journey on their feet, trying to get their defense going, get momentum back at the beginning of this third quarter. Nova fires across the middle, knocked down. It was A.J. Klein right in the traffic pattern, and they forced the 3 and out.
Nice job by this defense, playing a big zone coverage, keeping everything in front of them and just reacting. See the big wide receiver posting up over the ball, D.C. Jefferson at tight end. But a nice job of reaction by the linebackers in the second unit, able to bat that ball down.
So much of this defense is about A.J. Klein and Jake Knott, the two linebackers. And they both played well this afternoon. Warren pushed back, and an over-the-shoulder fair catch made inside the 20-yard line. So Iowa State will take over down 11. The game that reshaped the championship chase of Friday night, November the 18th, from 24-7 down. The Cyclones rallied to tie Oklahoma State at 24. Quinn Sharp pushed the field goal, and we skipped to overtime. Jake Knott tipped the ball away from Blackman. Teran Burton made the pick, and then Jeff Woody just muscles into the end zone in double overtime. 4-touchdown dog. Iowa State showing tremendous resilience. Jesse, they overcame so much. You know, in the BCS Bowl matchups, which looked like this, would have looked very different if the Cowboys had escaped Ames with that victory. They would have been playing LSU in the BCS championship game. It would have been K-State in the Associados Fiesta Bowl, and the sugar would have been different. 6
degrees of separation. It's amazing to think if Nebraska and Colorado had not defected and left the Big 12 conference this year on the schedule, Iowa State was not supposed to play Oklahoma State. How much everything changes in a very short amount of time. Now, Oklahoma State had to take care of business. They did not do that, but it's interesting to wonder what if.
Jans is in the game at quarterback, and he hands off on the edge. Kasim Green with the tackle for a loss against Jarvis West. So they go with Jans to open the third quarter.
And I think that's the right play, but watching the speed of Rutgers, this is a much faster defense this year. And Greg Schiano made the conscious effort to switch positions throughout the offseason, which we'll talk about here in a moment.
Scarlet Knights show pressure. Darius Reynolds makes the catch and gets away from David Rowe. Reynolds still running. Fighting across midfield. Now we'll check the marker, which came way back before the snap. It was at the line of scrimmage. The gain was 33.
It's a nice job by Steele Jantz identifying the pressure.
Offside. 94 on the defense. All penalties declined. First down.
Scott Ballone was in the neutral zone. The only question was, did he cause one of the offensive linemen to rock back? But no, the play will stand.
Yeah, Steele Jantz looked out. He saw the corner blitz coming, and the answer to that by Darius Reynolds, just a sight adjustment, just kind of a drift throw. Nice job by Jantz understanding where his answer was for that pressure. 2-yard pass turns into a big game.
So Jantz in at quarterback. There's the reverse. That drop for a huge loss is Lentz. Not fooled was Deron Harmon. Another strong play by the all-conference safety.
Iowa State struggling to find ways to beat the pressure right now from Rutgers. This time Greg Schiano dials up a safety blitz. Harmon into the backfield. They try and take advantage of all this speed and the fast flow Rutgers defense running sideline to sideline, but they run right into the teeth of the blitz, and it's another giant loss.
You lose big yardage on first down. You're not going to produce many productive drives for Iowa State. 2nd and a mile. Rutgers just drops back. Jantz has time, but delivers across the middle, and it's picked off. Steve Boharness to the ground, makes the interception. A flag is down. We'll check that. But Boharness, good coverage and a low throw from Jantz.
Holding, 74 on the offense. The penalties decline. First down, Rutgers.
So the turnover stands and the turnover troubles continue for the Cyclones.
Tremendous coverage on the top of the screen here. Actually forces his turnover. Still, Jantz wanted to throw the curl at the top of the screen, and you see Kevin Snyder getting out underneath that route. That forced Steele Jantz to clutch. He has to come back now to his second receiver, throwing it too far inside, not seeing Boharness draped in front of his wide receiver. Bad decision. Tremendous coverage, though, on the initial wide receiver, forced that turnover.
So in the closing minutes of the 3rd quarter, once again, the Iowa State defense is going to have to come up with a big stop to stay in this game. But on first down, it's Jamison powering forward for a nice game.
You know, Chris, a moment ago, we were talking about the success Rutgers has had here recently in bowl games, and Greg Schiano has really changed the expectations here at Rutgers. This is the birthplace of college football. But they'd only been to one bowl game in 135 years before Greg Schiano showed up 11 years ago. They've now gone to bowl games 6 of the last 7 years. Bowl games are now the norm. And he's set an expectation level at Rutgers where just going to bowl games and winning them is not enough. They want to take the next step. They want to win the Big East Conference. And that's the goal. Still is out there that they need to reach.
And they feel like they'll be one of the favorites in the Big East next season, along with West Virginia, assuming the Mountaineers are still in the conference with those 2 lawsuits against the school and against the conference still in the courts. As of now, the Big East is planning a schedule around West Virginia being in this league, and I think the Mountaineers and the Scarlet Knights and perhaps USF would be the preseason favorites.
And I think Greg Schiano feels like he's very close now. This is the most talent he's ever assembled in the 11 years he's been at Rutgers. He's got some big-time recruits coming in. They've got some transfers coming in. R.J. Dill, 3-year starting offensive lineman at Maryland, coming in next year, immediately going to help solidify this offensive line. Rutgers going to be able to make a push next season, potentially getting to a BCS bowl game.
Jamison cuts it back. Jawan Jamison into the secondary, and Rutgers beginning to really wear down that Cyclone defense. Leonard Johnson made the stop, but they moved the sticks again.
I'm very impressed by the toughness of Jawan Jamison. Again, a guy that's only 5'8", 198 pounds, but he can carry the load. That's his 19th carry right now on the day. He had 34 carries earlier this year against Cincinnati. Not a very big guy, but that doesn't mean he gets beat up. He's tough. You can give him the rock through the course of 60 minutes.
100-yard game for Jamison, again playing a lot because Jeremy Deering unable to go with the ankle. Inside of 30 seconds in the 3rd quarter. Jamison again cuts it back. Beginning to look a little weary on that Iowa State defensive side.
Little running back able to wear this defense down, looking a lot like a Ray Rice right there with the vision, the cuts, the quickness.
Big praise. It's
Iowa State having some issues.
It's number 23, not number 27, but as the Scarlet Knights sprint to the other end, they're looking to build an 11-point lead as the 4th quarter is coming up from Yankee Stadium. Our game summary brought to you by Marriott. I always say a couple of effective field goal drives in the 1st quarter. No scoring since. Rutgers cashing in a fumble into a field goal. We've had a couple of takeaways.
This is a big possession right now for this Iowa State defense. Critical, back to the wall inside your own red zone. If you can hold them to a field goal, it's only a 14-point game with 15 minutes to go.
Dodd on the reverse. Hands it off to Miles Schuler. And Schuler shoved hard into the barrier after about a 5-yard gain by Teran Benton. They've showed him in motion a lot, finally handed to him.
That's just another way by Frank Cignetti and his offensive coordinator at Rutgers to try and keep Iowa State off balance on defense. You have to hand that football off every once in a while so that the defense respects the wide receiver coming around in motion. Oftentimes in the running game, you use receivers in motion to try and freeze an unblocked defensive end. Good job play calling there, trying to mix it up for Rutgers.
Second down, Jamison hit in the backfield, spins away. He'll still lose about a yard. Jake McDonough blew the play up. Rutgers rushing offense was such a weak spot, Jesse, all season long. Sputtered a bit early, but they've really gotten going.
You know, they've had a lot of success in the middle of the field, and we talked earlier in the day about Batim Bujari, a freshman that normally plays right guard, as a backup being put in at starting left guard, and they moved a bigger player at left tackle in Desmond Wynn to try and gain weight up front. I think that's demonstrated itself particularly in the middle of the field today running the football.
There's Sanu in the slot to the left, sits down, catches the pass across the middle, but he's dragged down short of a first down. So they were keying in on number 6 there. Klein made the tackle.
It's a nice job by the defense of getting depth in their drops and keeping the football underneath them. It was the linebacker, A.J. Klein, co-Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, that did a great job identifying the route, coming across his face, able to make and secure the tackle and force what we think will be a field goal.
Yeah, so often Sanu is able to knock down a smaller defender and get away, but Klein's a strong guy, sure tackler. One of those triple figure tackle guys.
No doubt.
So Sansanti is 1 for 2, making his previous short attempt, tries to make it a 14-point lead, and he does knock it through in his final college game. Can Iowa State's offense get going? There's time, but the deficit is now 14. Today's quarterback stats brought to you by Dove Men Plus Care. It was Barnett getting the start, Jesse, and making some effective plays with his legs early, but then struggled with the passing game, and Jance has come on. And if you look at these guys on the sidelines, you were just saying Barnett didn't have the body language of a guy who's getting back in there anytime soon.
Looks like he's anxious to get back in, and head coach Paul Rhodes told us that Barnett was going to get the start, but if he did struggle early, he was not going to hesitate to put Steele Jance in this game. I think from a passing standpoint, Jance, to me, has looked more comfortable. He hasn't necessarily been night and day more effective, but he's brought a little bit more continuity, I think, to this offense. And, you know, I was watching Barnett run out onto the field here for the second half, and he looked like, you know, he was just a little ginger a little bit, the way he was running. I'm not so sure if he's necessarily 100%. We saw him get up very slowly after he took that sack and the fumble. That may have rattled him a little bit, and so far in the second half, it's been Steele Jance's game.
Dorner boots it deep. And this is West. West is knocked down at the 23. Pressure comes. Jance flushed. Flips it downfield and has Lentz open. Lentz a first down across the 40. So they finally deal with that pressure and convert on the third down.
It is critical for a quarterback, particularly playing in the spread offense, and for any offense for that matter, to be able to extend plays and create with his legs. We've seen Steele Jance have success running the football early, but right there doing a nice job buying enough time to get the football thrown downfield.
Crucial play. Let's see if they can build on it. Well, it's an incompletion right through the hands of Albert Gary. The way their defense is getting worn down, inside 12.5 minutes, down 14. You can almost sense the urgency building. The Cyclones need something out of this.
And they got to be able to stay on the field to give that defense a break. But you're right, Chris. Here we are in the fourth quarter, clock ticking. Got to find a way to generate points. You need more success on early downs.
Over the middle, Lentz again collects it, running free, has the corner. Gets a block from Reynolds. Still on his feet, down to the 22. So Lentz, a couple of huge connections with Jance, and now the Cyclones in the red zone quickly.
Steele Jance does a great job identifying a matchup and a mismatch. He's going to have a slot wide receiver working against a defensive end in Manny Abreu. That's an easy pitch and catch, big play.
They ratchet up the tempo again. In traffic there. Dangerous throw to Aaron Horn. He picks up 7. Bottom of your screen, let's take a look at what they apparently flagged, the defensive hold.
You see 27 here. He's going to be coming in pressure. He tries to mug the running back right there. It's a great hold. It's what's called a green dog. He's basically waiting to see if the running back's going to stay and protect. If he does, he blitzes. If he doesn't, he has to cover him. He guessed wrong. Good call.
Yeah, there was confusion, but the call was correct as Woody breaks free. And Woody breaks a tackle and scores. And suddenly, it's a one-possession game.
Jeff Woody, a former walk-on, a local product in the Central Iowa Metropolitan League. Tough runner. He's the most physical back right now in this backfield for Iowa State. There's a way you handle the pressure. You gashed him on a running play. You roll the dice when you want to send heat. We've not seen very frequently tonight Iowa State able to make them pay for doing it. That's one of the few times tonight they've made Rutgers pay.
Geyer makes it a 7-point game. You saw the Iowa State band there. They have obstructed view seats. They really couldn't get a good look at Jeff Woody breaking free, getting into the end zone. They could figure out what was going on. We got a ball game all of a sudden. Looking forward to it, Reese. Meanwhile, here, Iowa State has battled back, trying to keep the Big 12 undefeated in bowls. That conference 3-0 entering this new era Pinstripe Bowl. And Iowa State finally, after 7 possessions, Jesse, were empty. Hadn't scored since midway in the first quarter. 76-yard, 10-play touchdown drive.
Yeah, I think the big key there with the penalty giving them a fresh set of downs down inside the red zone, and finally able to gash Rutgers when they decided to bring pressure.
Mahoney's kickoff taken at the 13-yard line after a bobble by Jordan Thomas, who fights out near the 30. Reese, in the meantime, it's Chase Dodd, the starter this afternoon, back in the ball game. Going with the more experienced quarterback, Jesse, trying to protect the ball in the lead.
Better game manager, especially down here with the football deep in your own end.
It's another first down run, and again, the Cyclones really crowding the line of scrimmage, and Jameson has nowhere to go. Sheckwas Washington stopped him.
In the big picture, I really love Greg Schiano's thought to play both quarterbacks in this game, because the opportunity presented itself with 15 bowl practices to get each guy the reps necessary to feel comfortable playing in this game. Not as easy to do that during the regular season when you normally only have 5 days in preparation to get ready to play your opponent on the weekend. It's not enough reps to be split between 2 players during the regular season, but in bowl practice it works.
We've seen 4 quarterbacks this afternoon. None of them have been particularly outstanding. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
This is Dodd. He'll take a shot downfield, loops it very high for Brandon Coleman, and the 6'6" receiver collects it. Coleman to the house. The home of the Bronx Bombers. They go deep for 86. A back-breaking touchdown if you're the Iowa State defense, as Dodd comes back off the bench cold and makes a rainbow throw to the big fella. And then when sprinting down the field, they waited a long time, Jesse. They thought that Brandon Coleman presented a huge mismatch opportunity against a 5'7" corner Reeves.
As a quarterback, sometimes you have to be lucky when you pick your matchups. And Chase Dodd has 2 go routes mirroring each other. He had Mohamed Sanu on the other side of the field and bump and run. 99 out of 100 quarterbacks would have taken that matchup. I don't blame him for going for Brandon Coleman with the 11-inch height advantage over a much smaller corner in Jeremy Reeves. They tried this earlier in the half. It didn't work, but a great job of putting the football up, just allowing his wide receiver the opportunity to locate the football and then try and high point the football.
His first catch of the afternoon. There's a guy who averaged 29 yards per catch, had a 92-yarder against Connecticut, one of the few bright spots in the finale for the Scarlet Knights.
And he's a guy that this coaching staff feels can be the next great receiver here at Rutgers. You look at this, over the season, 33 plays, 30 or more yards, 12 of those resulting in touchdowns. They've been explosive. Brandon Coleman, only a freshman. They think he can be in the lines with a guy like Kenny Britt, Mohamed Sanu. He's the next great receiver here at Rutgers. He's very raw, but he has the physical abilities you just cannot coach. And with that frame, that is a mismatch nightmare for defensive coordinators week in, week out, not only in the Big East Conference, but whoever else has to play Rutgers on their schedule for the next several years to come.
You would expect that Mohamed Sanu would declare for the draft. He hadn't said anything yet, but he talked about doing what's best for his family. That's usually a buzzword that means he's looking toward the draft. That would mean that Coleman's really going to be a guy counted on it heavily as the go-to receiver next year. West tries to create a big play as the Cyclones are suddenly back in a 14-point hole. Jarvis West gets free, gets across midfield, 42 yards on the return. So 5.5 to work with. They have to begin to go back to that up tempo. So now real urgency for Jance and the Cyclones. They flip it short here. This is Gary, who's able to get 9 yards, and they have to get up and snap it now every 10 to 15 seconds.
And I love the idea. Get the football out of your hands as a quarterback. Put it into the playmakers on the perimeter of the field where there's so much more space. Let them go and create first downs for you. I've not seen a lot of the quick game tonight from Iowa State.
Sticks move after the first down. Jance looks right, fires to Gary again. He's got about 10 more. So move the sticks again, and the clock will stop briefly. Bulldogs and the Demon Deacons to follow.
You know, and this 2-minute style of offense fits right into what Iowa State does because the tempo they play at week in, week out. They're comfortable.
Jance again over the middle. Bobbling catch is made there by Aaron Horn, and now they're suddenly at the 11-yard line.
You're seeing the difference between an experienced quarterback and Steele Jance and what we saw earlier with Jared Barnett. Anticipation on throws, anticipating the window opening up over the middle of the field. Pull the trigger when you see it.
Drive taken so far just 56 seconds, and they're down threatening.
And remember, this is an area of the field that Rutgers plays their best defense. Heading into this game, they had allowed opponents to score only 69% of their possessions in the red zone, tied for 4th best in the country.
Kevin Snyder, their true freshman, has jumped into that linebacker position. He shows pressure up the middle as Jance lobs it to the end zone. Well covered was Reynolds by Logan Ryan. It's been tough to deal with number 11 on the corner out there for the Scarlet Knights today.
And that seems to be where Iowa State wants to try and take its chances. And Darius Reynolds, 6'2", 210 pounds almost, has been the most explosive wide receiver. He starts on an inside track, runs too far inside. You got to give credit to Logan Ryan for maintaining possession at his post outside. Rutgers now bringing more pressure. They're going to force Steele Jance to get this football out of his hands quickly and trying to react to it in the air.
3rd down. Again, Jance has to backpedal and just throws it away. Coming very quickly was Wayne Warren, who's been an effective blitzer from the safety position. And it's 4th and 10.
Well, he's still in the tackle box, and he just kind of spikes this in the ground. I'm not so sure why that's not intentional grounding.
Neither is Greg Schiano, who's going crazy. Now that looked like a
there's no receiver within the vicinity of where that was thrown.
They can talk about it, and sometimes they'll throw a late intentional grounding flag.
I don't know if they're saying that. I don't know if they're saying that number 8 James White was potentially in the area. He was cut blocking on the play. He wasn't even an eligible receiver in the play.
See what they've dialed up now on 4th and 10.
Bunch formation here at the bottom of the screen. Going to try to buy access for wide receivers.
Jance instead looks to the left and throws into single one-on-one coverage. Incomplete. It's been a tough battle between Ryan and Reynolds all afternoon, and the corner for Rutgers wins that one.
The same idea as we saw just a few plays ago, looking for the back shoulder throw. That is a perfectly thrown pass by Steele Jance. Nowhere could he be put that better than on that throw. But again, Logan Ryan has made big plays tonight in coverage. Great job locating the football over his shoulder. It's clean with his left arm. He's made tackles in the backfield. He's been locking up on Iowa State's best wide receiver. He's won that one-on-one matchup. Wow. Leader on defense. Logan Ryan, a guy standing up right now, stepping up. He's only a sophomore. That is big time.
He's going to say he's a sophomore who was 2nd team all-conference, and you pencil him into the 1st team all-conference preseason team for next year.
No doubt.
What an afternoon number 11 has had for Rutgers, as the Scarlet Knights, without Kasim Green, their leader and best player, able to once again hold Stiffen in the red zone. Cyclones said they took the ball away. Hold on here in the scrum. Were they able to pry it loose? No signal yet. thought he'd come up with it.
Wow. Well, you know, if you're Paul Rhodes and you're Iowa State, and you're down 14 points, you got 2 timeouts remaining. You start wondering if and when you want to start using these timeouts to get the football back. You know Rutgers is going to run the football and try to bleed as much clock away as they can. Nine bodies close to the line of scrimmage from Iowa State. They are selling out against the run.
Dodd wants to use a lot of his play clock. He still has 10 seconds before he has to snap it. Anderson trying to protect the ball, moves forward. It'll be 3rd and 3.
It's such a good sign. It's so impressive. Paul Rhodes now going to call a timeout. Force Chase Dodd to complete a pass here. Potentially not. You know, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, an area that Frank Cignetti could dial up another run play. They see if they can get them outflanked on the sideline. But, you know, that's a great sign what we just saw there, Chris, with this running team looking ahead. You know, when a defense knows you're going to run the football and they sacrifice 8 guys close to the line of scrimmage, you're still able to generate a gain like that. That's a good sign for you as an offense in terms of your physicality up front. Sanu here in the slot. Go-to guy, critical down, up top.
If they throw it, Jersey Joe Martinick instead takes the carry, and he's dropped. Big tackle by Jake Knott. No gain, and they'll spend another timeout and preserve some time as Rutgers gets ready to punt.
Great open field tackle by Jake Knott. This is
Aaron Horn to see if he can create some field position with a punt return. As Dorner gets it away. Horn waves for a fair catch at his 30. So Iowa State 3:16 to work with, down by 14. It's hoping that there are some more dramatics left in what's been a crazy season. But to have that empty possession stopped on the 4th and 10 hurt a few minutes ago. Jantz has to show real urgency. They almost have to go downfield. They'll concede throws like this to Aaron Horn.
I am not a fan of prevent defense. Just keep running what's working. You're up by 2 touchdowns, I get that, but Iowa State has not been able to handle the pressure. Don't stop doing that now.
Dance to scramble, and they'll slide after about a 4-yard gain.
Here's a thought. If you are going to go prevent, think about having a spy on the quarterback. You know, Oklahoma had a lot of success late in the season against Iowa State, dropping 8 into coverage with a spy.
Pressure in the backside, picked off. Picked off by Logan Ryan, who punctuates a tremendous afternoon with a clinching interception. Anything else the young guy can do?
It's unbelievable. And another great play call by Greg Schiano.
They keep going in his direction.
Well, they brought pressure
Get
again.
a clue.
Steele Chance had to get that football out quickly. Miscommunication between he and his receiver. I think that was Darius Reynolds again.
I mean, number 11 has just been all over the place.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, he has won that one-on-one matchup with Darius Reynolds and just made plays. It feels like almost each and every possession. Icing this game with that play. The greatest play call you can get as a quarterback, Chris, is when the offensive coordinator says victory formation.
This will sting because I asked Rhodes, you know, obviously you want to win a bowl game, but there's a big difference between 6 and 7 and 7 and 6. As Dodd, by the way, almost bobbles the snap before he hands it off to Burton for a loss. You know, it's technically a losing season, even though, as you pointed out, they really were favored in only 2 games this year.
When you consider the hurdles they had to climb this season with switching a quarterback midway through the year, losing your starting tailback and Chantrell Johnson to a neck injury against Texas, the expectations, as you mentioned, coming into this year, to come away with a 6-6 record, beat 2 ranked opponents like they did, I think it was a tremendous year. I think Paul Rhodes, one of the bright coaches in all of college football, bright spot. Congratulations to Iowa State for locking him up, because they only have better things to look forward to now on the horizon with him at charge.
Falling behind 6-0 and then 27 unanswered points. Had to make the stand late to fight off the Iowa State rally. And this is just Dodd rolling out, wants to stay in bounds and takes a shot inside the 25. Gets the first down, and that should be the final play of this new era Pinstripe Bowl. First loss of the bowl season for the Big 12 Conference. And here comes the bath.
Every time I see this, I think back to LSU, Alabama, November 5th, when Les Miles got dunked. It's cold. That's cold. That's cold.
You know what Shiana told me? As you get older as a coach, the losses hurt as much, and the wins maybe don't feel as sweet, but you can tell by the smile that he's enjoying this one, Jesse.
And so he should. Tremendous win, tremendous end of the season for Greg Schiano. He's brought this Rutgers football program to new heights. Let's see if they can take the next step next season to compete for a Big East championship.
For Tom and Jesse, our crew in the Bronx, I'm Chris Fowler. Thanks for watching. 27-13 is the final of Franklin American Music City Bowl. Is coming up next.